Well, sometimes at the end of the day, I have some fatigue, and I sort of want to be unfocused. And that's what I want to get more clear about, because I'd like to be able to go through every day with lots of focus but no fatigue.
Well, fatigue is always about resistance,
right,
and only about
resistance.
So when you're tired, you've been pushing against things.
Something.
Yes. So you might ask yourself, what has made me tired today? Why am I tired? You might identify that condition, and then you might say to yourself, if I could remove that condition, how would I feel? And find those emotional words, and then just focus on them and show yourself that you can find that feeling anyway. In other words, fatigue is a state of mind. It's not a state of physical being, because alignment will refill you with the resources. You can be endlessly energetic, really you can, and endlessly clear if you are not tripping over the resistance.
And that's not a state that I would want to expect to go to, right? Because life is always both sides. So well, sometimes not focusing is okay. Sometimes feeling fatigue is okay.
Well, what we would do if we were standing in your physical shoes, everything is okay.
Right.
The question is, do you prefer fatigue or ease?
Well, yesterday I was climbing in Boulder Canyon, rock climbing, and it takes a lot of focus to do that, which is why I love it so much. It keeps me focused, gives me something to focus on. But at the end of a long day of that, after all that focus, like, wow, you know, me and my friends, we want to go get a beer because we want to unfocus, because we want to kick back, we want to relax, we want to let go.
But we think you're dealing from a flawed premise, because we understand how it feels like you need to replenish yourself if you're depleting faster than you're infusing.
Right, that's what I want to find out.
But if you are focusing and therefore allowing the infusement of energy,
up, right?
then the energy is coming as you are expending it, and you never reach a place of depletion. And so the flawed premise is that it's hard to do this, or this is a bigger challenge than some other, or of course it's Boulder Canyon, so of course we're going to need a beer at the end of it. Just acknowledge that you want the beer whether you climb the mountain or not.
That's it. That's it. That's it. Thank you. I got it.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
It's a nice thing. This replenishment thing is a really nice thing, because once you realize that it's in and out, and focus actually calls energy. And so if you're calling energy toward what you want rather than calling thought toward what you don't want, then you don't get that tug of war. Yes, your own resistance is the only thing that makes you tired, which means it's your perception of the problem that makes you tired, which means if you're focused upon the solution, you'll be energized. If you're focused upon the problem, you'll be depleted. You're right, it is all about focus.
When Esther first started doing Abraham, she would get tired some, right?
Yes, she did.
So she had a different state of mind than she does now, right?
Clearly.
About that.
Yes, clearly. She was afraid of being possessed by a demon.
So there was some... So that would be called a state of resistance. So with time, she got used to it, and it became less resistant, and she's more open.
The factors, there were a few things that happened that her experience, because words don't teach, her experience set her at ease when she realized that we were coming by her summoning, but we weren't holding her beyond her point of summoning. So if the telephone would ring and she would want to answer it, we didn't say, please don't go, or don't you dare go. The thing that she worried about that was in her mind was being possessed by something, by being controlled by something. And so the combination of having the experience and actually listening to what we were saying and applying what we were saying set her at ease. And so
that similar resistance must be in me, not that kind, but so whenever I'm fatigued at the end of the day, it's because I was at part of that day focusing on something I didn't want. And if I could then go general at that moment.
Well, just be easy about it, because even hitting something like that so head on, even to say I shouldn't be tired at the end of the day and clearly I have resistance, is just adding to the resistance.
Yeah.
And so a better way of going about it is notice your exhilaration points.
Yes.
Notice how good you feel. Notice how good it feels when you first step outside. Notice how good it feels when you take those deep breaths. Just notice what feels good and don't push against what doesn't. And before you know it, what feels good will be dominating your experience in your words, in your thoughts, in your behaviors. You're bringing us back around to something that is really worth considering. This fits here so well. Abraham, how do you get rid of doubt? You get rid of it before it starts. Abraham, how do I get rid of fatigue? You get rid of it before you are fatigued. What do you mean? How do I get rid of something before I've got it? By putting yourself in a stance that it doesn't come.
Nice.
By acknowledging that this is infinite resources that you have access to, and that they're flowing to you unless you're doing something to block it. And then by noticing when it flows and noticing when it doesn't, and do more of what makes it flow and less of what makes it doesn't. It really is that simple. And being easy on yourself and everyone else. We really want you to hear that this introduction, so let's talk about the unfolding of this knowing within you. So you live in a vibrational universe. Can you know that? You live in a vibrational universe. You are a vibrational being. Law of attraction is managing the vibrations. How you feel indicates your vibrations. How I feel indicates vibrations. How so? Because the source energy perspective of you is resistant free. The source energy perspective of you is pure positive energy. So when you feel negative emotion, you've got a different opinion going on right here, right now, than that broader perspective. That's a really good way of looking at that. If you're mad at someone, the reason it feels bad is because Source loves that very same person. Now, not just in general sense. Esther said, Abraham, perhaps you need more information about that person. When you feel angry at someone and you feel that discomfort of that anger, that's because the source within you is not in agreement with your anger. So you are a vibrational being in a vibrational universe, and law of attraction is managing all of this. And you can tell by the way you feel what you're focused on in relationship to what the source within you is focused upon. So if you start with that premise, so then you feel tired. Well, what does tired feel like? Well, tired feels like resistance. But what else in light of what we just said? Well, this tiredness that I feel is different than the way Source feels. Source feels energized. Source is energy. So my perspective must be different than Source. That's why I feel innervated while Source is energized. You see what we're getting at? So when you find yourself feeling an emotion that doesn't feel good, stop and ask yourself the question, what must I be doing that Source isn't doing? And before long, you'll find yourself doing less and less and less and less of hating, of taking score, of judging, of being hard on yourself, of being hard on anyone else. You'll find yourself just giving yourself a break and giving others a break and just lightening up and just being easier about things. And the more you do that, the better you'll feel, and the better you'll feel, the more good things come, and the more good things come, the better you feel, until now you're in the rhythm of the way you intended as you came forth. You said, I'm pure positive energy and I'm worthy. And there's where the action is, because there is where energy manifests, and I want me some of that. I didn't say it quite that way, but that's what you meant. I want to be there. Now, why do you want to be here at the manifestation point? What's so exhilarating about the manifestation point? Well, that point where thoughts turn to things, that's when the energy is moving the fastest. That's why you climb the mountain. You could walk around on the ground. Why don't you just walk around on the ground? Why do you climb the mountain? It's because there's more momentum. There's more promise of exhilaration. There's more promise of a high good feeling, you see. So the way you solve fatigue is by taking care of it before it gets there. And the way you take care of it before it gets there is by managing your emotions as you go along. And the way you manage your emotions as you go along is by feeling maybe some negative emotion and then soothing it. The wire walker, the first day that he set out on his rig, he didn't just jump on and run across. He found balance. He convinced himself that he had balance long before he went across the Grand Canyon, or long before he went across Niagara Falls, long before he takes those treacherous treks. He convinces himself that he can do it. And so that's all we're asking of all of you, is that you just sit when some funny little thing or not so funny little thing gets your goat and upsets you, and you need a condition to change. That person should be different so that I don't have to feel like this. That situation should be different so that I don't have to feel like this. Sit and do yourself a big favor. Change the way you feel with the condition not changing, and free yourself from the impossible task of needing to control things. And then, before you know it, you're just flowing. You have all the energy you need or want for anything that you need or want.